The alarm hit before I even finished my coffee. 41 ships dropped out of nowhere at the edge of the system, and every screen on Corvex Reach turned red at once. I was standing behind Governor Elena Cross when the first warning tone rang out, and I watched her hand freeze halfway to her cup. "That is not a supply convoy," said the young officer at the sensor desk, his voice cracking. "That is a war fleet." Nobody looked at me. Nobody ever looked at me first. I was the cheap one, the human they hired, because my contract cost less than the coffee machine in the break room. The other guards on this station were tall, armored, and expensive. I was quiet, plain, and priced like an afterthought. "Marcus," Elena said, using my name for maybe the third time in 2 years. "What do we do?" "We hold," I said. "Nobody runs. Running gets people hurt." She didn't argue. She didn't have anyone else to ask. Word spread through the station in minutes. The fleet belonged to the Ashkar Dominion, a name that made even seasoned station workers go quiet. Corvex Reach had no warships, no shield grid worth mentioning, and no allies close enough to help. The tall guards who used to laugh at my pay grade were suddenly very interested in the exits. "They are still an hour out," said Daniel Ford, the head of the guard team, a Krithari officer built like a wall. He had spent 2 years calling me the discount extra whenever the governor wasn't listening. Now his voice had lost all of its usual pride. "We cannot fight 41 ships." "We are not going to fight them," I said. "We are going to talk to them." He looked at me like I had lost my mind. Maybe I had. But panic never won anything, and I had seen what panic did to good people a long time ago, back when I still wore a different uniform and answered to a different name. The next hour crawled by one slow minute at a time. Station workers packed emergency bags. Children were moved to the lower decks. Elena stood at the window with her arms crossed, watching the dark grow closer, and I stood beside her because that was the job, even on the day it might not matter. "You have been quiet since this started," she said. "Quieter than usual. Loud doesn't help right now. Neither does silence, Marcus, if you know something I don't." I didn't answer that, not yet. When the fleet arrived, it filled the entire viewport like a wall of dark metal, engines glowing faint blue against the black. A single channel opened on the main screen, and the face that appeared belonged to a commander named Voran Ashkar, his expression calm in the way of someone who has already decided how the day will end. "Corvex Reach," he said. "You have no fleet, no shield, and no help coming. Surrender your governor and your station systems, and I will consider mercy for the rest of you." Elena's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Nobody moved. The room felt like it had stopped breathing. Then the scan finished on his side, the routine check every commander runs before taking a station, matching faces against old records nobody thinks will ever matter again. His eyes caught on me. He went still in a way that had nothing to do with calm. "Identify the human beside the governor," he said, and the confidence in his voice had quietly disappeared. "Marcus Cole," I said, before anyone else could answer for me. "Station security." Nobody in that room understood why the air suddenly felt heavier. Daniel Ford glanced at me, confused. Elena turned her head slowly, waiting. The channel stayed silent for a long moment. On an Ashkar bridge I happened to know, a long silence meant something had gone very wrong for them. "The name Cole," Voran said slowly, "is written into every warning file my people carry. You are the one from Threshold Deep." "I am." Whispers moved through his crew, faint but audible, the kind of murmurs that spread fast when soldiers recognize a story they were raised on. 15 years earlier, during what my old commanders called the Cole Incident, I had been part of a small team sent to stop the Ashkar Dominion from expanding further into human space. 6 of us went in. Only 1 of us came back out. The mission ended the Ashkar advance for an entire generation, and it left my name written into their history as a warning rather than a memory. I had never told anyone on this station about it, not because it was forbidden, but because there was nothing about that mission I wanted to relive out loud, not even once. You expect me to believe, Vorin said carefully, that the same Cole from Threshold Deep is guarding a trade station's dinner parties? Believe whatever helps you sleep tonight, I said. But you already ran the scan. You already know the answer. He didn't argue with that. Commanders like him didn't get to their rank by ignoring facts they didn't like. Stand down your weapons, I continued, and nobody on either side has to find out if the stories about me are exaggerated. It was a bluff built entirely on old fear and older reputation, and I knew it the moment the words left my mouth. I had no fleet behind me, no hidden weapon, no secret plan. All I had was a name that scared people who had never actually met me, and a station full of people counting on me to make that fear count for something. Vorin studied me for a long moment, his crew silent behind him, waiting on his word. Threshold Deep was the reason my father's fleet turned back 40 years ago, he finally said. I was raised on that failure as a warning, not a legend. Then you already know how this ends if you push it. Another silence stretched across the channel, longer this time. I watched his hand hover near a console, watched him weigh 41 ships and one uncertain human against a story his people had feared for a generation. Then he gave an order I couldn't hear, and the fleet began to turn. This is not mercy, Vorin said, his voice tight. This is patience. We will not test old warnings without proof they no longer hold weight. Wise choice, I said. The channel closed, and the wall of dark ships slowly folded back into the black, engines fading until there was nothing left but empty space and a station full of people remembering how to breathe again. For a long moment, nobody in that room said a single word. Daniel Ford was the first to break the silence, staring at me like he was seeing a stranger standing in my usual spot. Threshold Deep, he repeated slowly. That was you. That was a long time ago. You let us call you the discount extra for 2 years. You never asked what the price used to be, I said, only what it was now. Elena finally turned away from the window, some of the color returning to her face. 15 years of silence, Marcus. Why? Because that mission cost me 5 friends, and a version of myself I didn't want to keep carrying around, I said. Quiet felt safer. For me, and for everyone who never had to know. She studied me for a moment, then nodded slowly, the way people do when they finally understand something they should have noticed long before today. You saved this whole station, she said. Not with a weapon, with a name nobody thought mattered. Names only matter if people remember why, I said. Today, they remembered. Word of what happened spread through Korvek's reach, faster than the fleet itself had arrived. By evening, station workers who used to walk past me without a second glance were stopping to say thank you, awkward and quiet, unsure how to talk to someone they had underestimated for so long. Daniel Ford found me near the lower docks that night, arms crossed, looking almost embarrassed. I owe you an apology, he said. 2 years of calling you cheap, and you were the only reason any of us are still breathing tonight. You didn't know, I said. Nobody did. That was the point. Doesn't feel right, letting it go unsaid. Then don't let it, I said. Just don't let it turn into a story either. I've had enough of those already. He nodded, and for the first time since I had known him, he offered a hand instead of a joke. I shook it, and that was the end of it, the way most important things end, quietly and without ceremony. Later that night, I stood at the same window where Elena had waited earlier, watching the stars settle back into their usual calm pattern. The fleet was gone, the danger had passed, and the station slowly returned to its ordinary rhythm of trade ships and tired workers, and small arguments over nothing at all. I thought about the 5 names I still carried from Threshold Deep, the ones nobody on this station would ever hear. And I thought about how strange it was that a war fought so long ago had reached across the years to protect a place that never knew it needed protecting. Cheap was just a number on a contract. It never once measured what a person was actually worth. I finished my coffee, cold by then, and went back to walking the perimeter, because tomorrow the job would start again, the same as always, quiet and unnoticed, exactly the way I preferred it.